First of all, for your patience, I promise, as I understand that I'm the only obstacle between you and your coffee, I promise not to insist very much and to keep it short. The main subject is, in fact, this one, this publication that you have all on your desk, and which is the latest issue of the XPRIMM insurance report, containing statistical data for our region and also for the CIS region for the year 2018. So, as every year, we are repeating this attempt to look a little bit how it goes the region itself as a market, although it's not probably the best approach to consider it a very clear market. It contains a lot of units. Every country is very different. There are huge differences in size, but not only in this respect. But anyway, it is our region and we will look to it. And how is our market, our own market, Romania, faring among these countries that compound the region? So, to start with, the CEE regional market reached some 37 billion in gross written premiums last year, which means an overall growth rate of about 2%, which is not much compared with the previous years. Although the economies in all those countries fared very well, and very well as compared to the EU average economic growth, or even with the Eurozone. We have set in the CEE GDP growth almost double than in the rest of the Europe. Nevertheless, this didn't translate in a very strong growth in the insurance market for several reasons, and probably the most important or the highest impact among these is the evolution, or better said, the involution of the Polish life insurance market, which, accounting for more than 40% of the life insurance in the region, is practically a trendsetter when it comes about the regional results. The positive the drivers of this growth, as much as it was, were in macroeconomic terms. First, the increasing demand, especially the consumption in all countries, and also the better shape of the labor markets, the increase in the income for many people. So there were much more money available also for insurance, although they didn't went directly there, as we will see. For the next year, forecasts are also let's say optimistic, not very optimistic, but anyway optimistic. The region is expected to continue to see a good growth pace in macroeconomic terms, although a little bit calmer than this year and the years before. There are expected foreign direct investment to increase, and also on the retail bank lending, which for the insurance industry might be elements to encourage growth. Just remains to be seen. Anyway, in terms of portfolio, there was not a very important change as a structure, unless the change given by the life insurance business decrease, which meant that in the end, the life insurance lost about 3 percentage points of its weight in the regional portfolio, points who obviously went to the non-life side. At this point, we have reached the moment that we have already an over 10 years statistical database for this region, which is quite interesting from many points of view. You can look back a little bit what happened in the last decade. And you have here three graphs representing the evolution, the 10 years evolution of the main business lines. And looking at them closer to and closer, it's obvious that first, the left upside one, you can see that the growth driver in the region was the non-life business. The life business continued to lose ground throughout the period. Closer looking to the non-life business, it's obvious that the motor insurance business was the one setting the growth trend. Property insurance maintained the quasi-constant contribution to the insurance business in the region. And closer again to the motor business, the MTPL line is in fact that who has set the trend. Overall, in 10 years, the regional market increased by about 10%, but the non-life business went up by over 40%. And in this growth, in fact, the MTPL line grew by about 50%. Only last year, the motor lines provided for half of the non-life business growth in absolute terms, in money speaking, not in percentage. What I would like to add is that lately, and this will be probably discussed in the second part of this conference, there is a trend in the region of reshaping a little bit the market with players coming in and players deciding to exit, probably unsatisfied by the results that they have obtained here. There were the most important exit, let's say so, was that of Ergo, the Ergo companies, who left many countries in the region. But on the other side, there are also players in the region, players that are already present in the region, but which are taking these opportunities to expand their footprint, to increase their business and consolidate it. Our colleagues and friends from Euroins are one of these examples. They have bought 4 companies from Ergo in Romania, in the Czech Republic and Belarus, and also a very good company in Georgia. Generali has also bought from Ergo in Hungary and Slovakia, and also the Polish companies of Concordia, of the German group Concordia. And lately, quite recently, they bought a very important company in Slovenia, the Adriatic Slovenica. VIG continued to buy companies and to consolidate and merge the existing one to improve their efficiency. Sava was also part of the Ergo deal, buying a company in Croatia and another smaller company locally owned in Serbia. So there are movements which will reshape in the end these markets, and probably in some years we will assist to a changing landscape and probably another structure of players. Coming to Romania, this is practically not very new information. Considering many criteria, Romania in this area is the second largest country, by population, by area, etc., by number of housing units, by a lot of other things. Also has a good position in terms of GDP size, not so good position in terms of GDP per capita and people's wealth. So Romanians are not practically among the wealthiest citizens of this region. I think I saw recently a statistical study made by Credit Suisse, which was ranking Romanians on the 22nd place, no, 12th place in the CEE and 67 in Europe, Europe and North America or something like this. But anyway, in the CE, quite here among our peers and neighbors, we are not ranking very well. This is obviously leading to consequences. This is one of the reasons, but not the only one, for which the insurance market grew last years at a slower pace than the Romanian economic in general, so it lose some weight in terms of insurance penetration. At the end of 2018, this reached 1.07, coming down from 1.13 last year, which also was very, very little in comparing it with the other countries. You can see in the graphs the values. The same in terms of insurance density. The average spending of Romanians for insurance is about 106 euro, which is far below the CE average of 306 and more far from the European average. Practically it doesn't make too much sense to compare them. Our market, it's the 6th in the region. We all love rankings, and these are helping us to position ourselves somehow. Considering the entire insurance business level in Romania, we are keeping this place since many years already, unchanged. What's changed a little was our weight in the region, which increased by close to half percentage point last year, because the Romanian market reported a 4.5% increase, which is above the regional one, but we are still far by reaching our potential. One curiosity, let's say it like this, which usually would make the titles in the press, could be that Poland, for the first time since a very, very, very long time, accounts for less than 40% of the CE market. And this is all coming from the decrease in life insurance. Which brings us to the topic of life insurance. So, yet, decreasing, strongly decreasing, Poland remains the main player by far in the region in terms of life insurance. It accounts for about 40% of the total business in life insurance in the region. But it keeps a downsizing trend since already 4 or 5 years, I believe, which is slowly changing a little bit the situation overall. Last year, the small, let's call it like that market in the regions where life insurance in general had a very small weight in the market portfolio, have seen double-digit growth rates on this line. Of course, there is a very long path to go ahead, since that growth will produce results important enough to increase their weight in the region, but yet it's a good sign. And I think in many of these countries, the less good news is that this growth came very much in relation with the bank lending, not so much in relation with the real popularity of life insurance and real appetite of buying it. Okay, non-life, here we stay according our real potential. So Romania is the 3rd market in the region, is the 3rd largest MTPL and motor hull market, the 4th in terms of property insurance. I didn't provide here more details than that because we will discuss later together with the player in the market, which are more entitled than me to comment on these things. But it is interesting to see that this year, for instance, unlike the previous years, the Romanian non-life market grew at a lower pace than the regional one because of the MTPL line, the Romanian MTPL line was one of the very, very few in the region seeing a negative change in underwritings, which could be, of course, just a situation for now. In general speaking, motor markets have benefited from increasing car sale very much. In many countries, we have also seen tariffs increases, but also on the paid claim side, there were significant increases, sometimes higher than the ones seen in underwritings. So things are not changing very much in comparison with the previous years. I couldn't say that we have seen something very specific this year. But anyway, it's a market which remains the most dynamic, at least, if nothing else. To end here, what is interesting is that this slide, I had this slide also last year, with very few differences in figures. But the trends are practically the same, nothing much change, nor in good nor in bad, which, okay, for an optimistic point of view could be a good news, but on the other hand, I think that the change is needed and the market should move somehow to reach closer to its real potential, and this is up to you, obviously. We are just your big fans and following your results every year and expecting for the good news to come from you. Here I am closing, reminding you about the new publications. Take them, read them. I think it's nice to see how we stand. And wishing you a good forum this year, a good time in Sinaia, and a good discussion in the second part with Karel and his guests.